Now, one thing that we haven't talked about, though, that I think is one of the most powerful things in making change is, as I mentioned, what happens to the participants of an intention experiment. Now, I started surveying people back in 2008 after the first peace intention experiment, the one for Sri Lanka. And it was just to find out whether or not they'd been able to get on, whether or not they had any difficulties with their computers, what the experience was like for them. And I was astonished to see people saying things like this. I felt like I was part of a higher network. I had goosebumps up and down my arms. I was crying uncontrollably. I felt like I was in a tractor beam in Star Trek. People were feeling unbelievable energy and heat. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. These are people who participated around the world in front of their computer screens. So they were sitting by themselves, as I am now, and you are. And yet we're having this connection. But more than that, they started saying things like this. I made up with my estranged partner. My grown child who hasn't called me for 4 years suddenly picked up the phone. I'm getting along better with my boss, my not very nice boss, or my coworkers. And 50% said, I feel more love for everyone I come in contact with. People were hugging strangers. So this blew my mind. And when I started calculating it, about 40% of people said they were getting along with the people around them. 50% more in love with everyone they come in contact with. Another amazing statistic was that about a third of those participating said that some condition of theirs, some health condition, was better or completely cured. So I'm blown away by this whole thing. And they said all kinds of other things. Many decided to leave their jobs and take a job in something like the Peace Corps. People wanted something more meaningful to do. It had touched their hearts that deeply. So I started realizing that the more important reaction is what happens to the participants. Because if we start calculating how many people they affect, think of this. Let's take the 30,000 people who participated in the Israeli-Gaza event. Half of them said they were more in love with everyone they come in contact with. So they're going to have that peaceful, loving state that they connect with when they're connected with their whole social network. The latest suggestions from Columbia University is that each of us has about 600 contacts, 600 people we connect with. So imagine these people, 15,000, connect with 600 each. And also think of Harvard University and Nicholas Christakis, his work in social networks. He's found social networks are highly contagious. If we're happy, we're more likely to have happy friends, not because we self-select happy people to be with, but because of the natural spread of happiness. Same with loneliness, even obesity, but also kindness and altruistic acts. If you're kind to someone else, you do something selfless and altruistic to someone else, they are more likely to have this spread down a social network by 3 degrees. So if John is kind and selfless and does something nice to Jane, she's more likely to do the same to Peter, who's more likely to do the same to Paul, who's more likely to do the same to Sam. And so it goes down a social network, constantly spreading out there. I started doing a calculation of what this would look like. And if you look at all of that social networking going down in this extraordinary ripple effect, you come up with about 500 million people who are affected by that single intention experiment suddenly change their lives, suddenly more in love with everyone they come in contact with. To me, that is possibly the quickest and most effective way to change things.